Welcome back. Here's a quick recap. After defeating Eden's blue spirit, Raon broke the curse and freed the group from its grip. But there was no time to rest. Tyrion barked, "Everyone, we're still in combat. Suppress the remaining trolls before they can reorganize." With renewed urgency, the group sprang into action. Once the last of the trolls were taken down, they approached the fallen blue spirit. In a taunting tone, Tyrion sneered, "You must be displeased. After all that, you weren't even able to kill a single person." His words hung in the air, and the group began to question the spirit's true intentions. If you're new here or just need a refresher, I highly recommend checking out the previous part before diving into this exciting chapter. Now that we're all caught up, a huge thanks to Presto Alakazam and Walter Elliott Hayes for the super thanks. Let's dive into this new chapter. What's the scene like as we pick up where we left off? Tyrion's voice took on a serious tone, laced with a growing sense of unease. "What do you mean we should have killed you already?" The blue spirit's reply was delivered with a smug tone. "Thanks to your pathetic mercy, Haben Castle shall fall in this battle." It let out a mocking laugh, continuing, "Even if you don't like it, you'll see soon enough." Tyrion's eyes widened in shock as he asked, "What?" Edequil's sudden exclamation cut through the tension. "Sir Tyrion, please look behind you." Tyrion's gaze snapped towards Edequil, his expression shifting from intensity to surprise and worry. Edequil's finger extended, pointing towards Haben Castle. As he continued, "There's smoke coming from Haben Castle." Tyrion's head swiveled, his eyes locking onto the sight of the castle in the distance, and his jaw dropped in shock as he took in the scene. The smoke billowing from the castle's direction painted a dire picture, and Tyrion's face reflected his growing alarm. Tyrion's eyes widened in horror as he murmured, "What the hell?" Raiden's voice followed, laced with incredulity, "But Haben Castle is an indestructible fortress." His words trailed off, his gaze fixed on the burning castle, as if struggling to reconcile the impossible with the reality unfolding before them. The blue spirit's mouth split open, revealing a bloody grin as it spoke. "The original plan was to use you as bait to pull Milland out here, but things didn't go as planned. So as a contingency plan, before you guys came here, I used an incantation to unleash a horde of trolls on Haben Castle." As it spoke, the blue spirit's eyes seemed to glaze over, recalling the moment it had cast the spell. Its voice trailed off, the memory seemingly vivid, and the smile on its face grew wider, as if savoring the chaos it had unleashed. The blue spirit's grin grew wider as it continued, "They'll probably be wreaking havoc inside the castle by now." Its laughter echoed through the air, a cold, mirthless sound. Suddenly, Tyrion's anger boiled over, and he slapped the blue spirit across the face with a swift, precise motion. The blue spirit's head rocked back from the impact, and it spat out a mouthful of blood, its smile now twisted and grotesque. Tyrion's grip tightened on the blue spirit's collar as he growled, "Stop running your mouth, blue spirit." His voice was low and menacing, but the blue spirit's confidence didn't waver. "Haben Castle won't fall just because a few trolls got in," Tyrion asserted, his words laced with determination, as if trying to convince himself as much as the blue spirit. While Raon's thoughts turned inward, Tyrion isn't wrong. Even if Haben Castle's elite squads are out here, Commander Milland is still inside the castle. As he recalled the commander's menacing face, Tyrion's expression turned resolute, and he spoke up, "You can't destroy Haben Castle with mere ice trolls." His voice was firm, conveying his confidence in the castle's defenses and Commander Milland's abilities. After hearing the words, blue spirit's laughter erupted, violent and unhinged, catching the group off guard. They watched in surprise as the blue spirit's body shook with mirth. As its laughter subsided, it gasped out a few words. Maybe there were only ice trolls. Its voice dripped with sarcasm, implying that the true horror was yet to be revealed. The group's eyes locked onto the blue spirit, sensing that something was terribly wrong, and that the situation was far more dire than they had initially thought. Suddenly, the ground lurched violently, sending the group stumbling to maintain their balance. Edequil's voice rose in alarm. "The ground is suddenly shaking." Beto's voice followed, laced with concern. "Is it an earthquake?" The group's unease grew as the tremors intensified, making it difficult for them to stand steady. Raon's thoughts racing, he thought to himself, "No, it's not a normal earthquake. No way!" His mind was reeling, trying to comprehend the cause of the intense tremors. Meanwhile, the blue spirit's voice dripped with condescension as it spoke to Tyrion. "Did you really think Eden would have prepared so shabbily?" Its tone was taunting. "You were always dancing in the palm of my hand." The blue spirit's words culminated in a declaration. "The only thing you can do now is watch the fall of Haben Castle from afar." The blue spirit's words ended in a crescendo of madness. "Arrogant bastards. You will now wallow in despair." Its laughter echoed through the air, a cackling sound that sent shivers down the spines of those who heard it. Tyrion's response was immediate and decisive. Without hesitation, he gripped his sword and in a swift, deadly motion, cut down the blue spirit's head. The action was devoid of thought or mercy, driven solely by rage and a desire to end the spirit's taunts. Ediquil's voice trembled with fear and worry as he called out, "Vice Commander Tyrion." But before he could finish, Tyrion cut him off, his voice firm and commanding, "Tell this to all units. Return to Habban Castle immediately." Tyrion's words were laced with urgency, his face and clothes splattered with the blue spirit's blood, giving him a fierce and battle-hardened appearance. His gaze was fixed on the burning castle in the distance, his determination to protect it evident in his voice and demeanor. The scene shifted to Habban Castle, where flames engulfed the fortress, illuminating the darkening sky as snowflakes fell around it. The screams of the people echoed across the castle walls, a cacophony of terror and panic. Commander Milan's voice boomed above the chaos, "Prioritize evacuating the villagers." His face was set in a determined expression as he bellowed the order, his eyes scanning the mayhem for any sign of order. Milan pointed to a spot where the flames were spreading rapidly, his voice carrying above the din. "First squad, suppress the fire. Second squad, block the ice trolls." His orders were crisp and clear, and the soldiers sprang into action. Sometimes later, after Tyrion and the group returned to castle, Tyrion approached Milan, his expression grim, and reported, "Commander, all deployed units have returned." Milan turned to face him, his eyes scanning Tyrion's blood-stained clothes and the look of determination on his face. "Good, Tyrion," Milan said, his voice firm with approval. Milan's expression turned serious as he asked, "We're currently being ambushed by a horde of ice trolls. Did you find anything out of the ordinary while deployed?" Tyrion's voice remained calm despite the gravity of the situation. "We actually had something related to report, so we came back immediately." He paused, then began to explain, "This ambush is the work of Eden." Milan's eyes widened in surprise. "I did think something was off." "I see, so Eden was responsible." Tyrion's report continued, "We took care of the blue spirit that was summoning ice trolls at the scene." He paused, his brow furrowed in concern, before continuing, "But after hearing his words, and this earthquake, it seems their plans won't end with the trolls." His voice trailed off, laced with doubt, "But something is strange." He gazed out at the gruesome battlefield ahead, his eyes scanning the chaos and destruction. Milan's gaze locked onto Tyrion, his expression thoughtful, as he asked, "There isn't really much for those bastards to gain from targeting Habban Castle like this." Tyrion's response was measured, "Forgive me, we weren't able to find out their goals, however." He hesitated for a moment, the weight of his next words palpable, before revealing, "Due to their intervention, a monster wave will occur earlier than expected." Milan's eyes widened in shock, his face frozen in stunned silence. Tyrion's voice pressed on, his words painting a dire picture, "The traces of the ice trolls and monsters that were gathered by them, and the earthquake just now. There's a high chance of them causing a wave to head in this direction." As his words spread among the soldiers, panic began to set in, their faces paled, and their eyes darted towards the horizon, as if expecting the wave of monsters to materialize at any moment. The soldiers' murmurs grew louder, their panic palpable. "The inside of the castle is a mess because of the ice trolls, and now a wave on top of that," one of them said, his voice laced with desperation. Another soldier gripped his head tightly, his voice trembling with fear. "We're finished, we're all going to die." The atmosphere was thick with dread, and Raon's eyes scanned the scene, his face etched with worry. Raon's thoughts turned grim as he assessed the situation. The soldiers were on the brink of panic, their rationality slipping away with each passing moment. A battle against a monster wave would be daunting enough, but with his troops in this state, it would be nearly impossible. Commander Milan's voice boomed across the courtyard, "All of you, calm down. How dare you become cowards so quickly?" The soldiers' murmurs and panicked whispers ceased abruptly, replaced by an uneasy silence. The soldiers' eyes snapped towards Milan, their faces pale and fearful. Milan's voice thundered on, his tone manic and unyielding, "Have we ever fallen to a monster wave? This is Habban Castle, the iron castle that protects the continent from afar. If we fall, what will happen?" He paused, his gaze sweeping across the soldiers' faces, before settling on the castle's flag. His eyes blazed with determination as he continued, "The people of the continent, our families and friends, who will protect them?" Milan's voice rose to a crescendo, "We can do it, we have done it so far, and we will do it now." He gripped his sword tightly, his knuckles white with determination, as he continued, "Collect yourselves and hold your swords, not for yourselves, but for those you hold dear." With a mighty roar, he raised his sword towards the sky. The soldiers, infused with newfound confidence, responded in unison, their voices thundering across the courtyard, "We will follow your command." The air vibrated with their collective shout, and for a moment, the fear and doubt were replaced by an unshakable resolve to defend their home and the people they loved. Raon's eyes widened in shock as he gazed at Milland, his mind reeling with amazement. "Amazing." He breathed, his thoughts barely coherent. He paused, still trying to process what he had just witnessed. He completely turned the soldiers' morale around with just a few words. A mixture of awe and reverence filled his voice as he thought to himself, "Is this the battle experience of the Lord of Haben Castle?" The depth of Milland's leadership and command was laid bare in that moment, and Raon couldn't help but feel a sense of respect and admiration for the man who had just rallied his troops with such fervor. Then Milland barked out orders. "Outside of squads who have received orders to protect the civilians and clean up the scene, all other forces will follow me and head to the castle walls." He then turned to Raon and Dorian. "Raon, Dorian, help the squads who are staying back." But before he could finish, Tyrion interrupted. "Commander, how about bringing those two to the wall as well?" Milland's expression turned incredulous as he turned to Tyrion. "Tyrion, are you serious?" Milland's concerns were clear. "The walls will have to face the wave head-on. No matter how talented those children are, if they misstep once, they will die." Tyrion nodded understandingly. "I understand your worries, Commander." However, he countered with a pointed observation. "Raon defeated the Blue Spirit in one strike." Milland's expression faltered, and he became speechless, his thoughts momentarily stuck on the implications of Tyrion's words. Tyrion's gaze shifted to Dorian, and he continued, "And Dorian returned from this incident with no injuries as well. Even if those two gave a bad first impression, there is no reason to underestimate their abilities. So, please trust me this time." Tyrion's eyes, along with Milland's, turned to Dorian and Raon, who stood a short distance away. After some thoughts, Milland's gaze settled on Raon as he spoke. "I will give you two a command." Raon's eyes locked onto the commander, listening intently. Milland's voice was firm as he continued, "Come to the top of the castle walls and protect Haben Castle with us." The words hung in the air, a direct order that left no room for hesitation. With a resolute tone, Raon replied, "Yes, sir, I will receive your command." His words were laced with determination, and he stood tall, his eyes locked onto Milland's. The scene shifted towards the castle wall's top. Commander Milland's voice cut through the din. "Scout, how are the movements of the enemy? Have you seen anything new?" The scout's face turned ashen as he gazed out at the approaching horde, his voice barely above a whisper. "Commander, this is big, the wave situation." He trailed off, his words hanging in the air like a death knell. Milland's gaze followed the scout's line of sight, and as he took in the sight before him, his expression transformed from inquiry to alarm. "What could have caused you to speak like this?" he asked, his voice laced with a mix of curiosity and concern. But as his eyes landed on the scene unfolding below, his words trailed off into a worried whisper. "This is..." He paused, his eyes wide with a dawning realization of the enormity of the situation. The sheer scale of the monster wave must have been breathtaking, and Milland's face reflected the gravity of their predicament. Beto's voice was laced with concern as he turned to Edequil. "Have you seen a wave like this before?" Edequil's response was tinged with worry. "No, this is a first for me as well." The uncertainty in his voice was palpable, and the weight of their situation hung heavy in the air. Raon's eyes widened in awe as he took in the sight before him, his curiosity giving way to stunned silence. The sheer magnitude of the monster wave was breathtaking, and he stood frozen, unable to find the words to describe the horror unfolding before his eyes. As Raon's gaze fell upon the monstrous horde, Instructor Limer's words echoed in his mind. "And Raon, you're going to the north, Haben Castle, the eternal battlefield, where you will fight monsters that come from the North Sea and Mount Sterling every day. They call it Hell's Battlefield because you will never have a chance to put your sword away. Everyone else will struggle as well, but you'll have it a bit rougher." The memories seemed prophetic now, and Raon's eyes snapped back to reality as he took in the countless monsters marching towards the castle. The weight of Limer's words settled upon him, and he steeled himself for the battle ahead. Friends, this chapter comes to an end. To everyone watching, thank you for joining us on this adventure. If you're excited to see what happens next, let me know in the comments, ask for more chapters, and I'll keep them coming. If you'd like to support the channel and be part of our family, consider joining as a member. Don't forget to like and subscribe to help grow this community. Until next time, stay tuned.